Amy, and welcome to the kitchen here at the Blue OK. Today we're making double red pesto. And the pesto that we're making today we call double red because we're using red bell pepper and we're using red sun-dried tomato. So that's our two reds. We're also going to use some fresh picked basil, some pine nuts, a little bit of sea salt, some garlic, and olive oil, a little bit of nutritional yeast for flavor. And we're going to make it in a food processor today, so that gets it ground up really well. We'll go ahead and get started. I like to put my bell pepper in first because that's going to be a lot of the liquid for this recipe. And then the sun-dried tomatoes that you're going to use to make this double red pesto are a sun-dried tomato that are soaked in olive oil. And I like to use a sun-dried tomato soaked in olive oil that also has Italian herbs in it. That just gives it a little bit more flavor for this particular pesto. So you can use whatever you like. You can soak your own tomatoes from your garden that are dried in olive oil, or you can buy a store-bought one with Italian herbs in it and give it that flavor. So you're just going to pour those right in, and then I'm probably going to put some of my pine nuts right on top of that. And then I'm going to get this pulsing and start to add in some of the herbs, maybe a little bit more olive oil. Because the sun-dried tomatoes are soaked in olive oil, we're not sure how much we're going to need yet. You might use a little bit more, or you might actually have enough, depending on if the handful you got was a handful that had a lot of oil in it. I just added a little bit of sea salt as well, just to bring out the flavor of everything. And then I'll go ahead and put my garlic in as well, because you want that to get really well mixed in also. So go ahead and start your food processor, and then we're going to add the basil slowly and a little bit of the nutritional yeast and the olive oil as we go. Always good when you're working with a food processor to have a spatula on hand, because sometimes it creeps up the side and you want to just scrape along the edges and bring some of it back down so that everything gets blended. And this recipe usually blends up very nicely because you have a lot of bell pepper in there, and that gives you enough liquid. So I'm going to go ahead and add the basil now, and a little bit of the nutritional yeast. And I'm liking the texture so far. We'll see if we want it to thicken up. We'll add a little more olive oil, but we'll start one more time. So the next time you check on your pesto, you just want to make sure everything's incorporating well. Make sure that you don't have any large pieces of basil floating around. Everything should be about the same size. If it were to look watery to you, it would mean that you had too much liquid from the bell pepper and not enough oil. When the oil and the liquid mix together, it thickens up. It saponifies in a way. So you actually want that to happen. This texture looks great to me, so I don't see a need for more olive oil. But if it wasn't thick enough, maybe more nutritional yeast and a little more olive oil. But I'm liking this texture, which means it's time to taste it. I like it. What I'm tasting for here is a balance of flavors, making sure that I can taste everything equally. And if not, I would be balancing by adding a little more red bell pepper if I tasted the sun-dried tomato too strongly. If I didn't taste any of the flavors enough, I'd add a little more sea salt. If the oil was too heavy, I might add more of the basil to cut that with a little bit more nutritional yeast. I actually did not put lemon juice in this batch. I chose to make a sort of sweet creamy tomato sauce out of this one. But if you wanted a little bit stronger, a little more on the citrus side, you could add the lemon juice. So that's really optional in this recipe. I'm enjoying the flavor of this one on the sweeter, creamier side. So really up to you. Again, a lot of these recipes I encourage people to experiment and make them their own. Find out, do you like yours sweet and creamy, or do you like it kind of tangy? And it also depends on what you want to use it for. Sometimes if you're using it on crackers or as a dip, you might want the lemon juice because it's a little stronger of a flavor. But if you're going to use it on a ravioli, we do a lovely coconut ravioli here that I love to put this sweet creamy tomato sauce on. So for this particular batch, I'm going to pair it with crackers. And I like to serve this with a salad, and then some crackers and this beautiful tomato pesto. And I hope you enjoy it. It kind of fills you up, stays with you a little bit longer than a salad. It's a beautiful snack as well, and it's a really fun one to make when you have things fresh out of the garden. So please play with it, make it your own. If you have any questions for me or comments, just leave them here on the website. Love to hear from you, and bon appetit.